New York lawmakers, along with Washington, D.C.'s District of Criminals, have presented and now approved legislation in which removes your parental medical consent of your own child, inadvertently placing that consent into the hands of the adolescent preteens. What could possibly go wrong? You guys are watching Talks with Ryan. Like, share, and make sure and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, and let's get into today's video. Okay guys, let's jump right into this material. The first bill, DC Council has approved a bill allowing children to get vaccines without parents' consent. Now, I'm just asking a few questions here. So can these consenting preteens purchase a firearm? Can they go out to a bar? Can they drive a vehicle? Can they purchase alcohol or tobacco? Can they be sent off to war? Can they even vote for the change of their own oppression? No. This whole legislation has been strictly designed to benefit the big pharmaceutical companies only. Now the bill, it goes by 23-0171. It states that it permits a minor of any age, and which now has been changed to the age 11 and up, that's why I'm referring to them as preteens, to consent to receive a vaccine where and when the vaccine is recommended by the United States Advisory Committee on Immunization. Guys, this is nothing more and nothing less than the government using their authority or their power against its people to benefit for themselves. Now, according to this legislation, all these preteens have to do is they have to be able to comprehend the need and the nature and any risk involved, and the consent is granted. Now, once again, this takes us back to the age-old question, who benefits? Who's going to profit from this? How many doctors do you think are going to stand back and actually deny any child of getting their vaccine when the money for it is going in their pocket? Just like any other bill that's ever written in this country, there is tons and tons of baggage that goes with it, and by baggage I mean conflicts of interest. But guys, stick with me because the plot thickens. It gets worse. A bill passed by DC Council on Tuesday would allow children as young as the age 11 to obtain vaccinations without their parents' consent. Now get this, under the legislation, if a doctor determines a minor is capable of informed consent, they would be able to seek government recommendation vaccines or recommended vaccines their parents object to on religious grounds. They also get vaccinated against the human papillomavirus, which is recommended for older children, but opposed by some parents because the virus is sexually transmitted and they object to their teenagers having sex, period. That is the parents' choice. Now, I know kids can sneak off and do whatever they want, but still, the parents have the decision. The bill, which was approved 12-1, now guys, that's bipartisan, that's Democrats and Republicans on both ends of this bill, requires that the doctors send the vaccination record in such cases to the child's school, rather than sending it to the parents, and seek compensation directly from the insurance company without involving the parents at all whatsoever. Mind blown. Now, this short article I'm getting ready to play you guys is from overseas, but still yet the meaning is all the same. Check this out.
South Korea has decided to proceed with a nationwide flu vaccination program despite reports of several deaths. Authorities say there is no direct link.
Fears over flu vaccinations are growing in South Korea after at least 9 people died shortly after receiving flu shots. This includes a 17-year-old boy, the first victim noted by officials following the vaccination. But authorities say there is no evidence of a link.
So let me get this straight. There's no direct evidence of a link, except at least 9 people have died that we know of, that they've told us about, shortly after receiving the flu vaccine. So were these teens near death right before they took the shot? 9 people died. How is that not a link? Now, like I mentioned earlier, New York is also pulling the rug completely out from these parents' feet. Our so-called representatives, guys, This is like if an athlete had a sponsor or a representative and they told the athlete to bash their legs to promote their career. I mean, that is the analogy compared to what these so-called representatives are doing for the people they're supposed to represent. New York is working on a bill, S4244C. It permits any child who is at least 14 years of age to have administered to himself or herself certain immunization required or recommended shots by law. More or less, they're doing the exact same thing that Washington, D.C. is doing, except the kids are 3 or 4 years older. Now, the title of this bill is an act to amend the public health law in relation to the administration of vaccines to children who are at least 14 years of age and up. The purpose or general idea of this bill to allow minors who are at least 14 years of age to have certain vaccinations administered to him or herself. Guys, can you imagine if we give some of our prescription medication, just handed it over to the children, and we're the parents? If we, the parents of our own offspring, if we were caught giving our medications to our children, they would lock us up. But yet the government can turn around and use this however they want, because they just create the laws. They don't have to go buy them. But guys, to finish out this video, there is a face for this movement, of course, like all other, and they have to use the youngest person they can find possibly alive in this world. But like I said, this is Ethan Lindenberger, and he is the 18-year-old from Ohio who is the face for this movement that allows children to get consent for taking the vaccine and override what the parents say.
My mother is an anti-vax advocate that believes vaccines cause autism, brain damage, and do not benefit the health and safety society, despite the fact such opinions have been debunked numerous times by the scientific community. I grew up understanding my mother's beliefs that vaccines are dangerous, and she would speak openly about these views. Both online and in person, she would voice her concerns, and these beliefs were met with strong criticism. Over the course of my life, seeds of doubts were planted and questions arose because of the backlash my mother would receive. It's important to understand that as I approached high school and began to critically think for myself, I saw that the information in defense of vaccines outweighed the concerns heavily. In one such instance where I approached my mother with information from the CDC that claimed vaccines do not cause autism, she responded with, "That's what they want you to think."
Lastly, here's a little briefing from a Democrat out of Manhattan, Liz Kruger. She said the bill was inspired by the testimony of Ethan Lindenberger. He's 18 years old, he's from Ohio, and basically she's saying that it would allow a 14-year-old to receive immunization without parents' consent. Here's what she went on to say, which is sickening. "We believe that children have rights." I agree, they have some rights. "And many parents who refuse to immunize their children are not protecting their children, but rather making decisions based on inaccurate and misleading information, which places their child in danger." So here again, they're just doing the regular, guys. They're taking away your freedoms, your rights, and your liberties, and now they want the consent of your own child, all for the safety of you and that child. The ones that stand up and claim to be our representatives, who claim they want to protect our freedom and our individualism and our liberties, they've removed parents from the homes and from the schools. They've made life so hard to manage that families cannot no longer spend time together. They've removed contact, social contact, in society, along with facial recognition and facial contact through new edicts and new laws due to the new mask mandates. Now they're taking parental consent from the parents. Where does this lead, guys? Us as a society, it leaves the children abandoned and pretty much leaves them as wards of the state. Guys, make sure to hit like, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.